Even before Donald Trump takes charge on the 20th of January, he has announced plans to impose tariffs on China, Mexico, and Canada. And India, as many feared, is not on the list, at least for now. Donald Trump has already stated his push to bring manufacturing jobs back to the United States. Now, Trump said that immediately after taking office, he would sign an executive order imposing a 25% tariff on all goods from Mexico and Canada and an additional 10% tariff on Chinese imports until the Chinese government curbs the smuggling of synthetic opioid fentanyl. Remember, Mexico, China, and Canada are the three major trading partners of US, and they are most exposed to potential policy changes under Trump's upcoming leadership. America's Economist Intelligence Unit ranks countries based on their bilateral trade balance with the US. It places India 8th on its list of 10 such countries. Now, experts believe this would have a big impact on the economies of the four countries, simultaneously saying that India would see a limited effect. Let's try and get an understanding of this, a wider perspective on what it means for the world when Trump increases tariffs for major economies. On the broadcast, I'm joined by Manga Antantmula, Republican former congressional candidate and political analyst. I'm also joined by Sarah Spector, political and legal pundit. I'm joined by Irina Tsukerman as well. She's a national security lawyer and geopolitical analyst. Good evening. Thank you very much for speaking with us on Global Mirror. Irina, let me start with you. Trump said that tariff is his favorite word in the dictionary. Is he being a smart businessman, but a rather sort of naive politician when he says that he wants to increase tariffs for major trading partners to increase and to boost the American economy, but also, starting fears of a trade war with these economies?
Thank you so much. Actually, he's being a smart politician, but not a very smart businessman, because economically this policy is highly problematic. But from a political perspective, it's playing very much into the isolationism and economic nationalism that is in vogue among not only his Republican supporter base, but also many independents and some of the on the progressive left as well. What I mean by that is that there is his rhetoric of returning manufacturing, of showing strength against other countries, is and rebuilding the United States resonates with a lot of blue collar and other workers who feel that they have been underserved by the politics of outsourcing manufacturing abroad. What he doesn't tell them is, first of all, it would take decades to rebuild manufacturing base in the US. Second, that US is actually one of the world leaders in high-tech manufacturing, and low-tech manufacturing essentially is unlikely to make a comeback, much less in 4 years. And third, he doesn't just explain the actual immediate economic impact of tariffs, which is raising prices across the board for the goods from not only the countries immediately impacted, but from many other countries as well.
Manganantatmula, you want to respond to what Irina is saying, the fact that he has been posturing himself as the man who is going to bring back the American economy through tariffs, but the fact of the matter is that it's going to take time for America to bring back its job creation once again. It's also going to take time for American economy to stabilize as far as Trump's promises of boosting it are concerned.
Who do you want to? Do you want me to respond or?
Manga, are you able to hear me?
Yes. Oh, that
This
question
is
was for
Manga.
me. Excuse me. Actually, I think I agree that manufacturing units take a little while for them to come back and build jobs within the United States. But definitely, it is talking about tariffs will definitely create global competition, and India can actually benefit to a great extent along with other countries. Why not create more global competition rather than depend on just these countries? Why is it that Americans are always burdened by other countries' tariffs not being paid to United States? I think this is a very wise and intelligent move, as he has always mentioned. And I think the immediate opening up of global markets will definitely improve the economy of United States, and of course the marketing units and
Manga, several
everything to
experts
come
also
back. The
believe that perhaps it's
manufacturing
not global competition, but trade war that will begin.
the people can look at it in two ways. Either Americans must be happy that there's a global competition and there's going to be immediate effect, or and the second thing, slowly all the manufacturing units will start coming back to United States and creating more jobs. So US will benefit in both ways. So I think this is a great move, and he's a very shrewd businessman, and I think this is the positive way for United States to head toward.
Sarah, do you resonate with what Manga is saying? The fact that Donald Trump is, and he has announced, he's made it very clear that he is going to be working towards increasing the tariffs, and he's already announced that it's going to be Canada, Mexico, and China first. There's already strained trade ties with China. Canada also saw some sort of strain when it came to tariffs last time around during the Trump presidency back in 2018. How do you see this really?
Well, I think it's going to be really bad. I mean, I'm in Texas, and our economy depends a lot on Mexico. We get a lot of our produce from Mexico, avocados, and then the lumber from Canada. I don't see how manufacturing is going to internal manufacturing or American manufacturing is going to make up for the produce and the lumber. And so the building prices are going to go real high. And then I just think Texas, just plain groceries in Texas are going to go skyrocketing, because I know most of my produce comes from Mexico, and a lot of it just isn't, we're not able to even grow some of the crops that we get from Mexico here. I think it's going to be very inflationary. It's going to, which is why, and most of the blue collar workers that voted for Trump, they were upset about their grocery prices, is what they say. And I can't imagine that the grocery prices are going to go down under this. I can't imagine. And I'm scared, because I've been reading some history books, and evidently they imposed a lot of tariffs right before the Great Depression in America. And I just think it's history repeating itself.
Let me get Manga to respond to you. Manga, Sarah makes a fair point. 90% of the vegetables that come to the United States are from Canada and Mexico. 50% of the fresh fruits that come into the US are from Canada and Mexico. Obviously, this entire burden will have to be borne by the consumer in United States, because obviously the companies also would want to make profit.
Well, that's because we have been solely depending on these two countries. What if we opened up the entire global market and we let these countries compete with the other global markets? Why not we open up the entire global markets and compete to bring the prices down? The competition always brings the prices down, and depending on any one country for any commodity, it's not a great model. And I think that's exactly what President Trump is trying to establish, that United States will not be dependent on any one country for its trade, consumer trade, and definitely, and that's a great positive direction to go. And we will definitely open global markets, and people will compete to bring the prices down, and the inflation will automatically go down with competition. And I'm sure India is definitely ready to take on this competition and plunge into it and make great strides. And maybe there are other countries, and India is the eighth on the list of United States, and there are others. I mean, if there are others that can provide the same services and commodities. Why not open that market for United States and other countries to compete with United States to have them on their market? So I think this is a great strategy, and we are going in the right direction. We are not dependent on any one country like Mexico or Canada to dictate what we need to do and how we have to keep our tariffs to get our commodities from those countries. We will definitely open competition.
Okay, fair point, Irina. Sure. Fair point, Irina. With a 25% tariff being imposed on China, do you think that the China plus one strategy will now gain momentum once the Trump presidency begins? The fact that people will avoid investing in China, and it's going to be very strategic when it comes to the geopolitics of the business involved.
Interestingly enough, although Trump was previously saying that he would impose a 25 tariff on China, now he's saying that the tariff on China is going to be 10%, which is less than the 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico, U.S. neighbors, who are much more directly involved in trade in produce than, for instance, China. In fact, a lot of his rhetoric on tariffs is shifting over time. His electoral campaign promise was actually to impose a 10 to 25% tariff on goods across the board, which would have included India. It would literally have included every state. So either he's only starting with a few states and is planning to broaden tariffs over time, or he is using these tariffs as a negotiating tactic. We're already seeing that Canada is reviewing its tariff policy. On the other hand, Mexico is taking the stand that tariffs on American goods would be imposed in the event that this tariff is levied. But regarding China specifically, China is a national security threat to the United States. I think the idea of restricting certain types of goods from the U.S. makes sense. Tariffs are not the way to do that. Moreover, it's important to note that a lot of U.S. manufacturing has already been shifting out of China for unrelated to tariffs reasons, for economic reasons, for security reasons, for reasons of China's own policy pressuring businesses. So I'm not entirely sure that these tariffs are going to have the impact that Trump thinks it does. I do think it's important to restrict sensitive technologies coming in from China, but I think that would require leaning into sanctions and export-import controls and restricting them rather than imposing tariffs across the goods. That is an anti-competitive, not a competitive practice. And if his policy of broadening tariffs to other countries is going to take place over time, then it will kill the global competition rather than encourage it.
Sure. So we'll have to wait and watch what really happens, but I'll have to wrap it up here. I have paucity of time. Irina, Manga, and Sarah, thank you very much to all of you ladies for joining us on Global Mirror and sharing your perspective. And of course, I love the fact that all of us women here are able to sit and discuss the trade tariffs and the business aspect of the Trump presidency. Thank you very much to all of you once again. All right, with that, viewers, it's time to wrap Global Mirror up. News and updates will continue on Mirror Now. Thank you very much for joining us at the moment. Up next is Sneha Koshi with Beyond the Headline.